Hi, we're doing an installation today on a 1994 Honda Civic. It is a 1.5 four-cylinder, 16-valve engine. First, we'll start off by locating the PCV valve, the OEM PCV valve. What we're going to do today is install a computerized PCV valve, the DynoValve. So what we're going to do is find the OEM valve first. And as you can see here, the OEM valve sits right on the manifold. So we're pulling the OEM out. And it's got a hose arrangement, so it normally goes to the intake manifold. But what we're doing here is we're taking an extension from where the original is and bringing it up to the DynoValve. This DynoValve here has we have a hose that goes all the way down to the intake right there, to the manifold. And then we take it, we route it to vacuum gauge so we could check. We already checked the OEM vacuum on this. Now we're checking the device vacuum, and we're going to do this low and high RPMs. And then we have the DynoValve control to, we have the wiring control to a controller. This controller hooks up to either an injection wire or a distributor, a coil. When you have a single coil, you could go to the negative side of the distributor, or you could go to your injector, your common lead on your injector. Or if you have multi-pack coils, you could go to any one of those. That gives the controller a signal, so it knows what RPMs to deactivate and activate the DynoValve. Now we're starting it. Now OEM, we're getting about 25 inches of vacuum. This vehicle, the installation was done by a private mechanic in the valley, San Fernando Valley, and we're just bringing it back into here so we could show how the installation was done. And we're just verifying it that it was properly done at the service station that it was being done at previously. So this DynoValve has already been installed for about a month. So you can see now with the DynoValve we're at 25 inches of vacuum. Actually we're at 22.5 inches of vacuum, which is about close enough to what it was OEM. If you look at the controller right now, you can see that the controller is flashing, looking for a signal. What we have in the controller is a 2-minute delay, because normally when you go to check smog and your emissions, the cars, all vehicles pollute a lot more in the very first minute. They're cold and they take a while to warm up. And so the reason we keep the valve completely shut, we keep it according to OEM, we keep it cleaner than OEM. So if you were to go out and pass the FTP 75 cold start test, we would be cleaner emission-wise as compared to the OEM PCV valve. Now after 2 minutes, then the controller releases it and lets the DynoValve perform the way it should perform, opening and closing as per the RPMs of the engine. And at which time then it clears all the crankcase gases, and eventually takes all the carbon out of your engine. Oil stays cleaner. You have a lot less emissions because you have a cleaner burn in the chambers. So for all reasons and purposes, it runs like the old days when you just had a draft tube going out. We still seal the engine, and it just recycles all the vapor, not just part of it like the OEM. So we're still waiting for it. Now it's waiting for 2 minutes for the controller. Right now it's still sitting there waiting for 2 minutes. As soon as 2 minutes come up, you'll hear a surge. Then you know that the valve has now been released to do what it's supposed to do. You can see that the controller is blinking twice for every RPM. Now we're going to accelerate. If you see the vacuum is at 22 inches, you want to accelerate. Oh, you already have it right here. Hang on. It's over here someplace. Just accelerate, keep it at, if you have a tach, 2,500 RPMs. You can see now the vacuum went down to 19, but it originally went down about 14 inches of vacuum. And now with the acceleration it's at 20. And now it goes back to 23, 24. So we're going down about 4 inches of vacuum. But as you initially, hit it one more time, okay? As you initially install it, it'll go down to roughly 14. You'll see 15, and then it goes back to 19. So we're getting a drop of anywhere from 9 inches of vacuum down to 4 inches of vacuum. And what that does is that shows you how much difference there is between device on and just OEM. That lowering of the vacuum allows a much greater flow of vapor to go through. But now this vapor is now allowed to go into your vacuum manifold, and then it gets reburnt with the fresh fuel coming in. So that's the MPG part of it. That's where you get the MPG, and why you get a much cleaner burn in the cylinders, because it's preheated fuel that's going to mix with the fresh fuel, which is cold. You get much cleaner burn in the chambers, and then therefore at the tailpipe you got a lot less emissions. So basically, by adding fuel that's warm from undetonated fuel from the crankcase, what you're doing is you don't need to get so much fresh fuel from the gas tank, so you're getting better MPG, but the main thing is that you're getting a much cleaner burn, so at the tailpipe you have a big reduction in emissions. This is a fuse tap, which is called an adder circuit. If you look at the fuse box, you'll see that it has switchable fuses. And on one side of these switches, on one of these fuses, you'll find that one side is powered. When you turn the key on, you'll see you have power to one side. And then it has to go through the fuse in order to come to the other side. So when you add this fuse tap, you have to make sure that the side with the wire is the side that you put on the powered side. So there, what happens on the opposite of the power side. So what happens is you're forcing it to go, if you look at this tap, when you put this into replacing the fuse you're taking out, you put the bottom fuse is the one that replaces the one you're taking out, which goes to whatever OEM device it was powered to. The one on top with this wire goes to the DynoValve. That's how we power it. So you have to add it to a switchable circuit that's in here. We pull the fuse, you add the OEM fuse on the bottom, you add the DynoValve fuse on top, which is supplied with the DynoValve. You just have to make sure that you orient this so the power that comes to here comes on with the key ignition on, and that it has to go through the fuse to make sure that the fuse, if it blows, will then shut the current from the DynoValve. So it's just a matter of sequencing it right, make sure it's in position right. So once you do that, you put it in there. Then this way we run the wire out, you close it, and then the wire is ready to be plugged into the DynoValve. So now what we do is, now that we found out your regular negative, we have a washer ringlet that all you do is unscrew any negative off the chassis, and you could put the negative side of the DynoValve or the circuitry on the ground. Next we have our controller. So the controller actually gets your power, your switchable 12 from the fuse box, and also gets your negative from the chassis ground. And there's another wire that is extended, and it's for the what they call the timing of the engine. This tells the controller how many RPMs, so then this way it knows how to regulate your DynoValve, your PCV valve, the computerized one. So it does great for the environment, it's green, and by the same token, it's great for the consumer because he realizes that, bottom line, his MPG, as fuel's going up, he's going to be able to drive, maybe get a 10 to a 50% improvement in MPG. Also, by clearing the carbon out of your engine, it runs longer, it runs cleaner, and if you, after a while, you'll notice that, you know, your oil stays clean. Even though you're going to change it because of your warranty and all that, you'll see that at 3,000 miles, your oil's not black. It'll continue staying very clear. At 6,000 miles, it's clear. At 9,000, we've driven, and I'm not suggesting people do this, but we've done over 100,000 to 300,000 miles, and the engines last forever because they just basically run, they breathe better and they run cleaner, like they were intended to. Anyway, that's the end of the installation.
I'm Mike Lucero, and I have a 94 Honda Civic. We installed the valve on it, and I've noticed an increase in fuel economy by 15%. We're going to install a new controller, and I'm looking forward to increasing that fuel economy.